Now, getting into Pixel users, I did not forget about you. Good news when it comes to CPU news and Pixel. Now, I know that's not really been, you haven't really heard those words in the past. Normally, when we're talking about Pixel and CPUs, we're talking about a wah, wah, wah. What a bummer. And disappointment. Now, it's kind of like a catch-22 because it doesn't really run off of just sheer power and raw power like the OnePlus 13 or the S23 Ultra. They've really fine-tuned it. I'm going to compare it to a car. It's like a BMW with their flat six, right? Or a Porsche with their flat six. BMW's got a V6, but, inline six. Anyways, it's not going to beat you. It's not going to wow you on pure specs, on paper, right? But when you include how it runs, right? Nothing drives like a BMW, right? The CPU is not going to wow you on specs with this Pixel, but when you put it in there and they got everything working together, I can't tell. Now, again, I don't game and I don't play any games at all on my phone, so I wouldn't know about that, frame rates and all this crap. I'm just talking about daily usage. Have I experienced any stutters? Have I experienced any lag? Have I experienced any issues whatsoever? No. In fact, it's one of the just day-to-day activities, going from this app to that app, going from this app to home to recents. It's one of the, and then swiping down for, to your notification, selecting a notification, app pops up. It's one of the faster phones I have. So that's never really been an issue, but now it looks like Google's really going to turn up the heat and get in this CPU race, because I have good news. We now have insider news in regards to the upcoming Pixel CPU, Pixel 10, even Pixel 11. I know it's hard to believe. So I know I have some new viewers on here. So if you're not familiar with Pixel and their CPU, so Google used to use Snapdragon for their CPUs and their Pixel. And they wanted to go the Apple route, right? But they couldn't just cut off Qualcomm and go straight to manufacturing their own CPU. There had to be some buffer zone, right? So there had to be some time. These things take years to develop. So after Pixel cut their ties with Qualcomm, right, when their contract ran out, they hitched on to Samsung's CPU department. So the CPUs for the last few years have been called a Google Tensor CPU, but it's basically a rebranded Samsung Exynos CPU. Now, their contract is up with Samsung. And what are they going to do? Well, now they're finally ready to build their own CPU from the ground up, just like Apple. And it comes with many, many benefits. You, as a company, being able to create your own CPU, that means you have to answer to nobody, right? Because when you use Qualcomm as a CPU in your phone, you got to work with them hand in hand. Developers at Samsung have to work with developers at Qualcomm and essentially work on these devices, coding it, fine-tuning it, source code, kernels, everything. Apple, they do everything in-house. They don't have to answer to anybody, right? And Google is slowly but surely making its way the Apple route, which is good news. I know we've been suffering a little bit, right, when it comes to the CPU department, but I think those days are very, very close to being gone, because let me jump into this news. Let me see if I can pull it up here. Where are we? We do have good news. I can promise you that. Let's see. Here we go. Whoa. Okay. Can y'all see that? It's kind of small, no? So, here's the news. Lord have mercy. So, check this report out. Here's a report. This is music to my ears and to every Pixel lover's ears. So, here's a new report. TSMC. Now, TSMC is a CPU manufacturer. All they do is manufacture chips, CPUs, processors. And they're the best at it. absolute second to none, best in the world at manufacturing CPUs. In fact, for those of y'all that are not that knowledgeable on CPUs, TSMC manufactures Apple's CPU. So Apple designs them, Apple creates them, schematics and everything. They just send the schematics and design to TSMC. TSMC essentially brings them to life, manufactures them, and Google is going to do the same thing. So remember, at this moment, Samsung manufactures the Tensor CPU. This is the last year for the last year for the Exynos, starting with the Pixel 10. Next year, Google's on their own. Google's using a TSMC. Their world-renowned manufacturing process is second to none. You're going to see a dramatic performance boost in the Pixel 10. Dramatic. Google is building the Tensor G6 based on the 2 nanometer platform. This is a very, very small platform, but it will be very powerful and very efficient. Very powerful and very efficient. So that's the G6. Currently, we're on the Tensor G4, right, which is Samsung. And next year's Pixel 10, the G5, is going to be TSMC. So we're talking about the Pixel 11 in 2 years. So this upcoming G5 is going to use the 3 nanometer, and then the Pixel 11 G6 going to use the 2 nanometer. Let's see. According to industry insiders and reports, Google and TSMC are eyeing a long-term partnership. Yes, music to my ears. That would have the Taiwanese-based company produce the upcoming Tensor G5 in the Pixel 10 and the Tensor G6 in the Pixel 11 for 2026. Currently, Google's been working with Samsung, as we just mentioned, to make its Tensor chips, with the current Tensor G4 built on Samsung's 4 nanometer process. News of Google switching to TSMC isn't exactly new. We've been reporting this for a long time, right? What is new concerns the Pixel 11 in 2 years, and the rumored Tensor G6 is expected in 2026. As detailed in the report, the G6 will be based on TSMC's 2 nanometer platform. So what does that mean? That means, in layman's terms, better performance and reduced power consumption. So that means it'll be ramped up even more, and it'll just sip on that battery power ever so slightly. So good news with that. I was very excited to see this. I cannot wait. I absolutely cannot wait. Now, speaking of designs, I know everybody's kind of bummed out about, not everybody, but I've seen a lot of chatter online about the iPhone series, how they basically kept it looking the same for 6 years, right? And I think next year you'll see them kind of tied in between going, they're going to be a fork in the road. So one of their models is going to be drastically different, while some of their models are going to look exactly the same as they do now. But down the road in the future, you're going to see them get away from what they look like right now and move towards a new design language. So they'll be, next year, even if they have another model or two that looks like this year's model, that'll be 7 years of them putting out basically the same looking phone. Getting back to Pixel, there's been a lot of, I'm not going to upgrade, I'm just buying the same phone 3 times in a row. I think let's hang on. Samsung, getting back to the S23 Ultra, they're going to slightly modify. So their S23 Ultra, their flagship device, is going to look a little different. It won't look it'll look more different than Apple, right? It has changed on theirs. The S23 Ultra is going to have rounded corners. The S23 Ultra is going to have squircle camera sensors, which is half circle, half square. Now they're just all circle. So it's going to be a slight upgrade. It will look different. It will feel different. It's going to be taller. It's going to be thinner. And it's going to have rounded corners, right? But it essentially kind of look the same. Just a little more different than what Apple's been doing. But getting back to this Pixel, if you go into the Pixel 10, even going into the Pixel 11, I don't really mind. Look, staying on one design for, in my personal opinion, everybody's different. Staying on one design for 3, maybe 4 years, I'm okay with. Anything over 3 to 4 years, me personally, I want something new. Now, Google has slowly progressed into this beautiful design. I think this is probably one of the best looking and probably the best feeling phone I've ever held in my hand, paws. But if they keep a similar design to this, going into the Pixel 10 and then slightly modify it into the Pixel 11, I think we're going to be in really, really good shape, honestly, for Pixel lovers, right? For Pixel users. Can't tell you how much I've enjoyed. I put my main SIM in this phone, switched it out of the S24, put it in here, and I absolutely love this thing. Just cameras are insane. I'm going to do more testing. Cameras are insane. So I think Google right now is trending upwards when it comes to their Pixel lineup. I think they're in very good shape. I think they're going to sell more and more phones every year. Now, let's see here. I know I'm not really teasing my my thumbnail here, but speaking of Samsung, so the prices just got leaked, and we'll get into the S24 FE. Let's see how much that is. The prices just got leaked for the Samsung Galaxy Tab S10, which is a new refreshed update. Same design, right, as last generation, but the prices did get leaked, right? Let's see how much they are. So there's no base model, so we'll only do an S10, Tab S10 Plus and Tab S10 Ultra. It says that the wait a second. That's the FE. What the hell am I looking at? Here we go. So the Tab S10 Plus starts at $1,000, and that'll get you 12 gigs of RAM, 256 gigs of storage, going up all the way to $1,200 for 12 gigs of RAM and 512 gigs of storage. And then the ginormous Tab S10 Ultra base model is going to cost $1,200. That gets you 12 gigs of RAM, 256 gigs of storage, and then ballooning up to $1,300, basically $1,400 after taxes for the 12 gigs, 512 gig storage variant, and then $1,600 for the 16 gig 1 terabyte. Now, sounds like a lot, and it is. Don't get me wrong, it is, but it's a laptop. It's a 14.6 inch display, razor thin. But that is expensive. But if you are interested, the prices were just released. Go to esimstudios.app. I got all the news there for y'all. If you miss anything or want to review the information that we're observing today, right? Let's jump into this. What is this? S24 FE. Here we go. And the price is here. S24 FE is going to be a little higher. So the S24 FE going to start at $650. That's the model with the 128 gigs of storage. And it goes up from there. Now, remember what I told you yesterday? Or what was it, the day before? If you're interested in getting an S24 FE, I know Samsung is not going to want to hear this, but I'm just giving my honest opinion. Don't buy the S24 FE. Brand new, starts at 128 gigs of storage for $650. Here's what you do. Get a slightly used S24 Plus. Same look, same design, but has a better CPU, right? Because remember, the S24 FE is using the Exynos 2400. And base model is 128 gigs. Well, guess what? The S24 Plus starts out at 256 and has better UFS storage and has a better screen and I believe has better cameras. So you can get a slightly used S24 Plus, way better specs, not way, but better specs for probably less than $650. And you can get a mint condition one. I guarantee you a used S24 Plus for somewhere in the $500 range, $550, $599, something like that. If you're a real good online shopper with some hawk eyes, some eagle eyes, you could probably find one maybe right around the 500 mark. So, and you're getting better specs. So that's my little, I don't know why they released the FE model for these phones. Does not make sense to me. I'm a fan of their other FE products. As you can tell, I got FE earbuds and all that good stuff. But their phones doesn't really make sense to me. Same thing with the tablets. They make S9 FE. Well, it has a cheaper screen. Actually, I think it has an LCD screen and not even an AMOLED. And it only has, 6 gigs of RAM, something like that. So even their FE tablets. No FE tablets, no FE phones, FE watch, FE earbuds. I think you're good to go. But that's my little advice, right? What else we got?